Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us, and many thanks to Shireen Adel for this report. And we are back here with Engineer Shireen Nagar, the International Transport Consultant. Engineer Nagar, before we talk about the challenges that we face today in this region and that the world faces because of the situation in the Strait of Hormuz, I just wanted you to give us an overview of what you believe are the pillars of the Egypt-Gulf economic relationships or partnerships.
Well, Egypt-Gulf has always been a sound and strong relationship, especially on the food commodities, fresh produce, various commodities that are being planted and exported from Egypt. And they are mainly finding a big market in the Gulf states, be it all the GCC countries are importing from Egypt because it's in close proximity and the quality is prime quality, and their requirements is always quite big. So there has been a long relationship in that respect. Now that has developed over the years as the Gulf was developing its petrochemical industries, its oil refineries and all that related industries, and Egypt started importing from the Arabian Gulf certain petrochemicals like polymers, like bulk liquids and so on. That is of course in addition to fuels and fossil fuels and oils and lube oils and so on. So the exchange, the economic exchange between the two is there, and it's only getting stronger. Now with the situation taking place both in Hormuz and in Bab el-Mandab, because frankly speaking,
yes,
I am very pessimistic towards Bab el-Mandab, especially after today's attacks on Yemen and on Jizan. I can see that there's going to be a similar interruption in Bab el-Mandab, which regretfully will affect the Suez Canal tremendously, and it is already being affected as it is. So transport in general has got to find a way around it. Now when you look about shipping will always find the safe way around. For example, coming from the Far East, going through the Suez Canal, passing Bab el-Mandab, going through the Suez Canal up to Europe, that's no longer the case, especially the container trades. They prefer to go around the Cape of Good Hope, 15 to 20 days extra.
No longer the case because of the disruptions around Bab el-Mandab?
Absolutely, because any shipping company today saying I am a trader, I have a supply chain operation, I need my supplies to be there on time, fast. They say, okay, I'll take you to the Suez Canal, I'll take the risk by paying international bunker adjustment factor, currency adjustment factor, war risk insurance, which is extremely high, and of course I also need to insure the crew who will accept going through Bab el-Mandab or not. So many of the shipping lines opted to going around the Cape. Okay, that's the way it is. Now for a trader,
for how long has this been going?
This has been going since the Houthis started being irrational as they are, and I think it's two years, 24-25. Year 24-25. I mean, the Suez Canal earned over $11 billion in 23 and a little less in 24, but 25 and 26 have been very bad years. We lost a lot of money, a lot of lost revenue, that is. That is because of the interruptions that the Houthis, and Houthis are basically, it is a rogue group. It's a bunch of gangsters who got some missiles from Iran, and they are threatening the world with it.
When things, I remember, Engineer Nagar, and correct me if I'm wrong, that at one stage, maybe earlier this year or last year, Suez Canal revenues did improve a little bit. Just a little, of course, not back to the peaks of 3 years ago, but it was not like going downhill. No, it was kind of zigzagging. So did that have to do with when we had relative calm in Bab el-Mandeb, then people returned to it, and then via the Suez Canal, and then when we had attacks, they started diverging again? I mean, it's not one way, right? It's going back and forth.
It is cyclical. It goes up and down all the time. It's zigzagging, as you quite rightly said. And I think what has happened with the attacks over the past few days on Bab el-Mandeb, I think that's going to be very bad for the Suez Canal. It's going to deprive Suez Canal from its revenues. Now, if you talk about why tankers have specifically been more frequent in the Suez Canal, it is very simply because the Saudi Arabian government, or Saudi Aramco, have decided to activate their east-west petroleum pipeline.
So this is a way of overcoming what happened in Bab el-Mandeb, right?
Well, it is a way of coming. Transport has its ways of overcoming obstacles, either by avoiding them completely or going around them in such a way that they will still be safe. To give you a small example, Saudi Arabia, as I was just saying, the east-west pipeline has started to become activated. They are making it even bigger. They are enlarging it. Instead of transporting 2 million barrels a day, now it's up to 3.4 million barrels a day, and it's on the way up.
And Egypt benefits from this, right?
Of course, because all ships are not going through Bab el-Mandeb anymore, and the result is that ships sitting in the Mediterranean or in the north will transit the Suez Canal in ballast and go to Yambo,
right,
pick up the cargo, and then return back through the Suez Canal,
right,
in laden for distribution, be it in Europe or even going around the Cape to India and to the Far East, which is of course a very long journey and very costly journey as well.
But at least there will not be high risk premiums or insurance premiums there. I mean, it's a safe road anyway.
It's something, of course, yes, but you see, for example, the Houthis have been attacking ships at random. Like recently, a chemical tanker has been attacked, a Norwegian-owned chemical tanker, and the Norwegian owner has nothing to do with Israel, has nothing to do with Saudi Arabia. He's just simply a poor old ship owner going through, and he picked up his fuel from Fujairah, and moving out of Fujairah, he was hit by a missile, and the ship has been severely damaged, probably a total loss. This kind of thing, I mean, an innocent owner like this, or a completely neutral owner like this, the next thing he would say, why should I go into a place like this? They avoid the trade altogether. So you see that if this continues for another period of time, that the trade pattern between East and West, from the Gulf and within the Suez Canal and within the Red Sea, that trade pattern will shift and it will change completely.
But this is not expected to continue for much longer, right? I mean, probably it will not last enough to change the routine or
pattern of
the routine pattern.
Well, no,
what do you think?
I disagree partly with you, because if you look at today, usually take a look at Egypt, Red Sea, Saudi Arabia. There has always been a link traditionally between Egypt, port of Safaga, and the port of Sokhna, and the ports in Saudi Arabia of Diba, Yambo, and Jeddah. Now, a new port has surfaced out of the blue, which is called the port of Neom. The Neom city has been suffering tremendous setbacks. Various reasons, economic reasons, things which are not really subject for our discussion here, but it's been suffering a setback. Now suddenly, out of total stagnation, Neom port is congested. And what with Egyptian cargo moving into the Gulf. Why? Because Neom is now a corridor that serves the import of cargoes from Egypt and from other places also, which is transiting through Egypt. And this cargo is moved to Neom, and Neom is transported by land to various destinations, particularly Kuwait, which is completely locked up.
Right.
and Bahrain and Qatar.
Right.
So you have imports now going through Dibba, through Neom, through Jeddah into the Arabian Gulf. That is a pattern, that is a change of pattern, that's a shift.
That is benefiting Egypt.
Of course.
Or making it at least compensate for some of the losses.
Of course, it is compensating for some of the losses, and of course the losses are, I mean, if there is a gain in one place, there has to be a loss in another place, and the loss in another place, unfortunately, is in the Arabian Gulf, because if this situation continues and Hormuz keeps on locked up, the Gulf states will not find any food, because they are dependent almost 100% on their food on imported goods from container ships and so on. No container ships are able to go there.
But I'm sure that experts like you in the field of international transport will find a way around it. I mean, I've heard, and correct him if he's wrong, not me, I've heard the U.S. Secretary of State, Mr. Rubio, saying that we will soon find an alternative for the Strait of Hormuz. We will find an alternative where we can ship commodities through and get the trade going without obstacles, and that this will, I also heard an Emirati minister say something like that. So correct them if they are wrong, not me. I mean, they're the ones who said that. Do you think this is possible? And if so, I mean, would you, as an expert in this field, describe this replacement, a partial replacement, and how partial will it be? Like 10%, 70%, 30%, 45%? You're the expert.
Well, the corridor that the U.S. Secretary of State has been mentioning will never take place, because there is no way there will be a peace or a truce between Israel and Saudi Arabia. Okay, there is a peace, there is already the Abraham Accord with the Emirates and Bahrain, but Saudi Arabia no. And anything that moves between the Gulf and Israel has got to go through Saudi Arabia, and that is not forthcoming at all, I don't think. In fact, there has been
unless there is a viable independent Palestinian state with East Jerusalem or Quds as its capital, borders 4th June 1967. This is the stance, this is the Saudi stance. No accord with Israel, no Abrahamic accord, unless there is a just solution to the Palestinian cause.
Well, according to Mr. Netanyahu just today on the 6 o'clock news, he said there will be no Palestinian state as long as I'm Prime Minister.
He also said that there will be that the Trump peace plan for Gaza is rejected. He also said that.
Yes. So
didn't surprise you, by the way? I mean,
no.
Can he say no to? I mean, he said no to Trump. I mean, many people have said he cannot say no to Trump. Well, he just said
Trump cannot say no to Netanyahu. But never mind.
Okay,
that's for a political discussion.
Okay, let's go back to why you believe that you explained why you believe that Mr. Rubio's plan or vision for a plan will not work. What about the Emirati minister who was also saying that we will replace Hormuz?
Well,
by the end of the year. This is how he put it.
By the end of the year, he will replace Hormuz insofar as oil exports and chemicals exports takes place. And that is easily done because Emirates and Oman are very close in proximity, and they can cross from Dubai or from Jebel Ali into Fujairah, and there you have another canal. There is a talk about two canals actually. One canal is between Dubai, or is it Jebel Ali and Fujairah, and another canal which is a wild dream in my opinion, and that's the King Salman Canal, which crosses Saudi Arabia, the entire peninsula from the Gulf all the way to the Red Sea. That you're talking about 1,400 kilometers almost of canal.
So Saudi Arabia, the United Arab Emirates, and Oman have no real issues when it comes to exporting their oil or gas or importing other important stuff, but it is Kuwait, Qatar and Bahrain that have the real problem. That's what I understood from you.
Yes, and also Iraq partly, because Iraq was able to export something like 3.5-4 million barrels a day. Now they are only able to export 1 million barrels a day, and they are using the alternative route of the port of Jihan in Turkey, where there has already been a pipeline, and they are also negotiating the Basra-Banias pipeline, or going through Syria. I cannot see the second scenario working very well, because Syrians and Iraqis never did see eye to eye, and economically and politically I don't think they would be able to agree, or if they agree, it's going to be a very short-lived agreement.
Yeah. No, it's
That's
just
my personal opinion.
No. The reason I smiled is that because, I mean, you said like you didn't want to talk politics, and then you yourself mentioned, because, I mean, you cannot talk economy without talking politics. You're the economic expert, you're the transport expert, so you just had to talk politics. So I just remembered Al-Assad and Saddam, when you said they never meet eye to eye, and maybe this is why I smiled. The elder Al-Assad, of course. But anyway, yeah.
No, if you talk about alternatives, there are alternatives. The closest alternative now, and that would be the most economic alternative, is the completion of the Jeddah King Abdullah Port railway into Riyadh. Because there already exists a railway network between Riyadh and Dammam, so you are connecting the eastern province to the western province, but you're still short on the Jeddah King Abdullah port into Riyadh. Now if that takes off, it will be very good, because it will not just link the two, it will also link the GCC rail network, which is very important. And using this railway, it will be covering the needs, or the immediate needs of Saudi, of the Gulf, through Saudi ports. And of course, they are all GCC countries, so I mean they already have an economic integration.
Yeah, but they don't have a common currency. They've been talking about it for. Is it a necessity, by the way?
Not really, no.
Okay. How can Egypt, Engineer Nagar, benefit from and compensate for some of the losses that it has incurred, and benefit from, you mentioned the Saudi pipeline and the Red Sea route and the Yamba port, but and the Neom, the exports, the Egyptian exports through Neom. But overall, again, how is Egypt positioned to benefit from its coordination and cooperation with its brothers and sisters in the Arab Gulf countries, and the importance of the interdependence? I mean, aren't we now at a time where like interdependence is a must, or is not a luxury anymore, and that we must depend on we all need each other, speaking again about Egypt and the Arab Gulf countries, and how can all of us benefit?
Well, all of us can benefit. To give you another example, Egypt today is building and expanding a lot in its crude oil storage facilities. Now, countries who have surplus of export of oil, and they are not able to export it very easily, they go to another scenario, which is floating storage. And a floating storage is a big ship, a ULCC, capable of carrying 4 million barrels or something like that, maybe 3 million barrels, and then it becomes very expensive as an exercise. Then the crude oil that you're putting on board that ship, by the time you sell it, and you get it off that ship into another ship, it does not cost you 70 barrels or $60 or $70. It will cost you a hell of a lot more than that because of the storage costs. So Saudi Arabia is negotiating at the moment, Saudi Arabia specifically, is pushing towards using the surplus of Egyptian storage tank capacity for storing its own oil.
Beautiful.
For one of two things, either for forward exporting or for processing and then further export. That has been circulating for a while. There has been some orders on the market for ships to pick up cargoes from Yambo. There is a big facility in Ras Badran which is virtually empty, several million barrels available. There is a facility in Ras Sadat. I don't know if you know about the port of Sadat. Port Sadat is a very important oil port.
Where is it?
It's in the south of Sokhna port.
Okay.
In the Red Sea. And then you have various facilities also in places like Ras Bakr, like Ras Shokir, Ras Gharib. All these locations do have a surplus. And of course, not to mention the port of Sumit, Sumit pipeline, which is doing approximately 4 million barrels a day.
Wow.
As we speak.
I mean, if you add them up, I mean, yeah, we can really store all of the Gulf's needs if they want to.
Well, if we want to, we can get away with it. But you see, the problem is not just the storage. There is going to be a time where you will not have sufficient storage anyway. Like what's happening in Iran. Iran is not producing, and now they cannot find anywhere to store the cargo. They're dumping it in the Gulf
because of the American blockade. Yes.
Well, okay, fine. There is a reason, whatever the reason might be, American blockade or war or lack of shipping or whatever, it is still a problem. And the problem needs to be resolved more rationally, more practically. And unfortunately, I mean, this is one example I mentioned on the
potential for cooperation.
Yeah. The other thing, of course, is the potential for cooperation on fertilizers.
Yeah.
Remember, fertilizers
affect food prices a lot.
Tremendously. And fertilizers are produced in colossal amounts in the Gulf.
Right.
Now they are sitting there piling up, and there is no way of moving them because bulk carriers cannot go into the Strait of Hormuz to pick them up. So again, whoever is waiting for the fertilizer for his summer crop is going to have to wait for quite a long time, or give a crop which is pathetic. And that's another problem. Now, if you have the rail link between east and west, you can solve a lot of these problems because a rail train can pick up a big amount of cargo, bulk fertilizers, for example, dump it on.
Yeah, but how long will it take to construct that link, right?
Well, that link is nearly finished as far as reports say.
Okay.
And it's been there for a while. The Saudis have been taking their time on it, but I think now with the situation changing the way it is, I'm sure they're going to be moving much faster. Just pray to God that the Houthis don't target it.
No. So that link, that rail link between East and West Saudi Arabia will help a lot in the fertilizers case, and there Egypt can also play a role via its ports because this will cross the Red Sea and go to the Suez Canal.
It could cross the Red Sea and go to the Suez Canal, or it will have to cross the Red Sea in any case, because most of it goes into places like India, Indonesia, Malaysia.
But we will be then taking the long route,
which is of course a
better than nothing, Engineer Nagar.
Yes, that's very true. But then at what cost? You see, that is always a problem. Transport logistics. Logistics is mainly a cost element savior rather than a cost element increment.
Right.
You use logistics in order to save money, not to put your costs on top of the cost of.
But I guess in times of war, all equations get flipped.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the way things are going at the moment, I'm afraid it's not very optimistic unless there is a...
Well, Mr. Trump is optimistic. Well, he says the war is going to end very soon. I mean, he just said it 48 hours ago.
Well, how many times did he say that?
we've lost count. We have to end it here. I'm really sorry, but we're out of time.
When you see it.
Yes. But what we can count is that there are 3 minutes left to 11 p.m. here in Cairo, and time for 9 News. So we'll have to say goodbye on behalf of you, ladies and gentlemen. We thank very much our dear distinguished guest with us here in the studio, Engineer Shireen Al-Nagar, and he's an international transport expert and consultant. Thank you very much, Engineer Nagar. I've enjoyed talking to you. I wish we had more time. Maybe you will be generous enough to visit us again soon and talk more about this and other topics.
To be my pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you, Engineer Nagar. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Goodbye.